Well, hello, friends. It's ML here with Redneck Renegade Radio. I'm flying solo tonight, y'all, because my partner in crime, Dave, actually had to go down to South Carolina tomorrow. He's going to be on a Christian talk show, and he actually kind of forgot about it. So I'm flying solo tonight. So you guys get to see all this beautifulness here in the next little bit. But I want to thank everybody that's tuning in tonight. And I want to give a special thanks out to our moderators for all your help that you guys and ladies, that you continue to do for us all the time. Thank you so very much. Superfoods, Kathy, Cookie, we appreciate you guys so very much and your support and all that you guys do to help us. I also want to give a shout out to some of the folks here that have tuned in with us tonight. Let's see here. We have Geronimo Samanas from Colorado. Welcome to Triple R Show. Appreciate you tuning in to us. Let's see here. We also have Monty Wilson. Hello, Monty. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your support as always at Triple R. Nancy B from Ontario, Canada. Thank you for tuning in, Nancy. We appreciate your support as always. Peg Mosher. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your support too, Peg, very much so. Diana Bullington. Hey, Diana, how's everything going down there in Georgia? Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your support as well. So as people still continue, I know this is a new time. Dave and I had decided that we were actually going to change our time to 8 o'clock Central Time because we realized that we were missing important demographics, Mountain West time, Pacific time. A lot of those folks, when we're doing 7 o'clock our times, Central Time, Mountain Time, and Pacific Time, they're not even getting home from work yet, getting settled in. And we want to be able to include those friends over there too. So we decided to push back our start time. Tonight will be the first show at 8 p.m. Central, and going forward, they'll be at 8 p.m. Central. That is, unless we do some special shows, we'll notify everybody, hopefully within 24 to 40 hours time period of any special shows or events that may be coming up on our behalf. Who else do we got here? We have Marie Smith, Alabama. Good evening, Marie. Thank you for your support. We appreciate you tuning in to Redneck Renegade Radio. So, this is an interesting weekend, friends, because this weekend marks our 21st anniversary of 9/11. 9/11 is a very, very sacred and holy number. Laura Clashes. Hi, how you doing, Laura? Thank you for your support. We appreciate you tuning in to Triple R as well. Sarah Bartlett. Thank you, Sarah. We appreciate your support for Triple R as well. Welcome to the show. 9/11 is an interesting number. My wife was actually born on 9/11. There's much archaeological research that's been done that shows that the Messiah was born on 9/11, not on December 25th. Anybody that wants to do the research can do the research, and shows that Christmas, December 25th, 24th, those were actually pagan holidays. Those are man-made traditions, okay? So those are not in accordance with the high holy days. It's not in accordance with the Lord's calendar either. So, but tonight, you guys are in store for a special treat tonight, because we're going to start this series on forbidden history. I love history. Dave and I love history. And so there's so many areas that we could go off on history here. But I chose to talk about specifically Lucifer tonight because, the scriptures give us just a little bit of glimpse on Lucifer. And Lucifer, just so you all know, is not Satan. Satan is actually not an individual. Satan is pronounced Asatan in Hebrew. Satan, or Asatan, actually means adversary, or one that's plotting and planning. Asatan is more of a group of actions, whereas Lucifer is an actual identity of an individual or an individual entity. Okay. Sarah Bartlett, welcome to Triple R. We appreciate your support very much. Let's see here. Show shut down. Hey guys, I've heard other channels saying emojis get show shut down. I don't know, just thought I would share. Thank you for sharing that. We appreciate that. All right, so how many of you in here are not familiar with where Lucifer originated from? I mean, the scriptures tell us that Lucifer was cast or thrust out of heaven because he engaged in a war within the heavenly realms, and that's partially true, but there's so much more detail to where Lucifer came from. Okay. Camberly Granite, Oklahoma. Welcome. We appreciate you supporting us here at Triple R. Miss Ozark One, thank you we appreciate your supporting us too. Let's see here. So we're going to dive right in here. So many eons ago, on a planet called Rahab. Rahab is actually a planet where Lucifer resided at, friends. And this was a place where evil was birthed in the heart of its ruler, Lucifer, okay? Lucifer ruled the realm from a stone of fire, which is called the planet, called Rahab. It's actually in the scriptures. This evil was not pride, as often thought, but a much more malevolent emotion. To the simple-minded, the sin of pride will suffice. But backstabbing greed is actually much more to the point, and we're going to get to the point of what caused Satan to act and do what he did against the Most High Elohim and the council in the heavenly realm. Okay? It's going to be very, very fascinating, friends. So you see, before Lucifer rebelled, there was actually a trade between the planets, the solar systems, and in the multiverse, and the stones of fire. And the stones of fire is another reference to specific planets. Okay? The members of this congregation or assembly actually traded among themselves. So when Lucifer ruled over the stones of fire, he ruled over all interplanetary trade. And Rahab was once a planet like ours, orbiting the sun. It was larger than the Earth, more along the lines of Saturn. Its name Sorry, friends. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm back. Sorry, not sure what happened there. I'm using a mobile hotspot, and sometimes, for some reason, it just kicked me off. So I'm back. So Happy Hannah is saying, you're wasting your time half over, and you haven't said nada. Well, that's because I haven't got to everything, and you're happy, Hannah. You can go if you want. You don't have to stay and tune in. I appreciate your support nonetheless. So yeah, we are live there on Rumble as well. So we must have got kicked off or something there on YouTube. I'm not sure what is going on there. So anyways, getting back to where I was at. So when Lucifer ruled over the stones of fire and ruled over all interplanetary trade, and Rahab was once a planet like ours, all right? It was orbiting the sun and was larger than Earth, more along the lines of the size of Saturn. Its name means boaster or pride, and its mass was large enough to hold 10 Earths, and its orbit was nearly circular. It doesn't mean that it was round or a sphere. I'm not talking about the planet per se. I'm talking about its orbit, okay? The remains of Rahab are now the asteroid belt. It was like Mars, once inhabited with many wonderful beings of the realm, but unlike Mars, the Most High Elohim, the Ancient of Days, destroyed it completely. Mars was a beautiful stone of fire before having its atmosphere stripped away. Yes, he ruled Lucifer over the vast realm of creation, but the Dark Prince, that is another title that he's known by, is the Dark Prince, was condemned for his attempt to take over the throne of the Most High Elohim and the Ancient Days and the Logos, which means the Divine Council. So you're going to hear a phrase or two called the Ancient of Days and the Logos, which actually means the divine council. It's the council in the heavenly realm where it's called the council of the gods. You have the Most High Elohim, the Father. You also have other councils in there that counsel with the Most High God as well. It's structured, so we have to remember how the dark side, in the way that they are structured here on this side, on the earthly plane, it's the same way in the heavenly realm. Everything is patterned the same, both in the heavenly realm as well as here on the earthly realm, which is, where the adversary presides from with all of his demonic legions as well. So Forrest Sullivan, thank you, Forrest, for showing up. We appreciate your support very, very much. So those who were with him, Lucifer, and also those who followed him later are now referred to as the Dark Lords of Rahab, i.e. the fallen angels. The name Rahab comes from what was once the Dark Prince's planet before its destruction. So we're making the point that Rahab was the home of the fallen angels, because the scriptures, both the current scriptures that we have in the Bible and all the supportive scriptures that once was in the Septuagint, such as the book of Enoch, the book of Yasher, the book of Jubilees, and some of these other supportive scriptures, give us a little bit more detail about where the fallen angels actually descended from and came from. But still, even with that, there's even more depth, because we have to think, when we're talking about the heavenly realm, we have to think and look at things in a multidimensional facet. All right. The heavenly realm and the constructs of the heavenly realm operates and facilitates, but it's not bound by dimensions, time, or space. Okay. So it's really, really fascinating once you open your mind up to how we perceive the Most High Elohim and how he facilitates and operates all creations. It knows no bound by time, space, or dimensionality. Okay. And that's how we have to look at when we're studying our scriptures, and we're studying prophecy, and we're wanting to learn doctrinal and getting all this meat and protein that we possibly can get. We have to look at it with multi-dimensional eyes, or spiritual eyes. And that's why we have to pray, not just for the gift of discernment, but we have to pray to receive our spiritual eyes to be open to see things as they really are, as the Father, the Most High Father, wants us to see things. Okay. So our solar system was damaged beyond any self-repair. Earth alone received 22,000 impact craters. Several craters had diameters larger than 5,000 miles. What we now know as the Caribbean Sea is in actuality an impact crater from this time. It was by means of these great rocks of Rahab that the Earth became a formless void and the solar system damaged. With Lucifer and the fallen angels, rebellion, death, and corruption began to invade the planets. And this dimension, which was under Lucifer's rule, was judged, and the whole of the cosmos and all things in it began to decay. All right, so that is the impact when Lucifer decided he was going to do what he was going to do and rebel. It had an impact across all. Let's see here. It had an impact across all the cosmos, the multiverses, and all of the God or Heavenly Father's creations. Okay. Because he was the prince of the physical cosmos, all things under his rule were subjected to corruption and death. The planets beneath his control had the judgment of death and corruption pronounced upon them, and they were subjected to casualty, vice, and eventually death. So modern day scientists actually find evidence of a giant planet known as Rahab. And it does exist it did exist in our solar system, of course. The consensus among astronomers is that the solar system has always had 4 giant planets: Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune and Uranus. But now it's claimed that it's much more likely to have been home to a fifth giant planet that is no longer in the solar system. Computer simulations by the Southwest Research Institute in San Antonio, Texas, show that it is statistically extremely unlikely that the solar system began with 4 giant planets. To reach this conclusion, head researcher and scientist David Nesvorny at the Southwest Research Institute in San Antonio, Texas, ran 6,000 simulations of the solar system's birth and early development. From Earth, Rahab would be bright enough to be seen in the daytime and would have dominated the night sky. Hence, that's where the name Lucifer as light bearer may have actually gotten its origination from. The planet was solid because diamonds bearing carbonaceous asteroids appear as the debris of its destruction. The planet was very likely a water-bearing planet since a high percentage of water is actually seen in comets. The Bible does reveal that there was a prehistoric time period before Adam that involved a revolt of Lucifer and a judgment that came upon the earth because of his fall. And we can find that in Revelations chapter 12, verse 9. So a great worldwide flood of judgment from God, similar to Noah's flood, engulfed the world. We see this actually when you turn to Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, and where it states, quote, "And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep," end quote. God then recreated the earth and made man. According to Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 28, Adam and Eve were told to, quote, replenish the earth, meaning that the earth had been previously inhabited. The Hebrew word for replenish is the same word that God uses when he commanded Noah to replenish the earth in Genesis 9:1. On that basis, then, it is true that Genesis 1:28 also means replenish. The Bible clearly states that there were 2 Adamic time periods, one in Genesis 1 and the other in Genesis 2. I really strongly encourage you, friends, to go and really research Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. Have your open spiritual mind, spiritual heart, and spiritual eyes to see. And you're going to see that there were 2 creation periods just between those 2 chapters alone. Okay? So Jeremiah, he described a time when the earth was without form and void as well. Not even Noah's flood was as horrific or brought about such barren conditions as described by the prophet Jeremiah. It can only be the cataclysmic destruction by God of the pre-Adamic world. In Isaiah chapter 45:18, it states that God did not create the earth in vain, but to be inhabited. And so I believe the originally created earth was perfect until judgment, as seen in the second verse. So the first verse in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, right? When you go to the second verse, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So right there, friends, between the first and the second verse, there's a clear distinction that there were two creations that took place. Because in the first one, he says, God created the heaven and the earth. Well, if God created the heavens and the earth, then that means all form was created in the earth. That means mountains, the sea, landmass, everything was formed in the earth. All right. So why would God repeat that in the following verse, in verse 2, where it says earth was without form? So it's telling us right there in verse 2, earth is without form and void. All right. Hey, welcome, Viking. Appreciate you coming in. Sorry, I didn't let you know that we're going to be doing 8:00 p.m. Central Time. So I appreciate you coming on board and contributing to our show and supporting our channel as always, brother. I appreciate it very much. So this teaching is sometimes actually called the gap theory, all right? And because it reveals that something catastrophic happened on the earth between the first 2 verses of Genesis, This was probably and possibly millions and millions of years ago. All right. When you go to Jeremiah, hi Carmen H, thank you for tuning in to Triple R. Appreciate you very much, and we appreciate your support. Jeremiah chapter 4, verses 23 through 27 states, "And I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void, and the heavens, and they had no light." 24 says, "I beheld the mountains, and lo, they trembled, and all the hills moved lightly." 25, "And I beheld, and lo, there was no man, and all the birds of the heaven were fled." 26, "I beheld, and lo, the fruitful place was a wilderness, and all the cities thereof were broken down at the presence of the Lord and by his fierce anger. For thus hath the Lord said, the whole land shall be desolate, yet I will not make a full end." So, "I behold, and lo, there was no man, there was no Adams," all right, "and all the cover of the skies had fled. I looked, and I behold, the fruitful place was a wilderness, and all its cities were broken down before the face of YeHoVaH, before his glowing anger. So YeHoVaH said, the whole land shall be desolation, yet I will not make a full end." So what Jeremiah is telling us, friends, is there was a time where the Most High Elohim, the Ancient of Days, source, whatever term you want to refer to the Most High, had also cleansed this earth, not once, but at least twice that we know of, as recorded again in the book of Genesis. So for those that are just tuning in, I'll catch you up to speed real fast. We're talking about Lucifer, and we're talking about where Lucifer originated from. Lucifer's home planet was called Rahab. So we're discussing about what happened, why he rebelled, and what happened to the planet Rahab and how it affects us here. All right. So Lucifer is portrayed as the ruler of the nations on earth. And this passage shows that there were nations of people. Well, I'm sorry, I skipped the Isaiah. So when you go back to Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 through 17, and it states, "How art thou fallen from, O heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" Lucifer is portrayed as a ruler of the nations on earth, and the passage shows that there were nations of people inhabiting earth at the time of Lucifer's rebellion. The phrase, "which didst weaken the nations," makes this quite clear. Thus, both Jeremiah and Isaiah confirm this pre-Adamic world then was. It can be gathered that before Adam, civilizations of angels existed on this earth and also perhaps on other terrestrial planets. Lucifer was destroyed from the midst of the stones of fire, i.e., the planets. We may find evidence of this in such places as Cydonia sections of Mars. One of the more interesting trips we could take is the legend of the destroyed planet Rahab, which is thought to have been the home of an angelic civilization, perhaps, again, Lucifer's home world. It is thought to have been the fifth planet where the asteroid belt is now located. All right. There was a gentleman 3 or 4 years ago. There was a conference that was being held in Branson, Missouri. Steve Quell, Tom Horn, and several other researchers had put on this conference. And I can remember that it was either Dr. Thomas Horn that presented this information about the planet Rahab. It's actually in the scriptures, which I'm going to share with you. It's actually in Psalms 89:10, and it states, "You have broken Rahab in pieces as one slain. You have scattered your enemies with your mighty arm." So this is confirming that the Most High Elohim, the Ancient of Days, the Divine Council, if you will, destroyed the planet Rahab, which is where Lucifer resided, as well as the fallen angels who followed him. Okay. Hi, Stephanie Roundtree. We appreciate you tuning in to Triple R. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Viking says, we'll show what Viking says. Some call it Tiamat. Yep, was destroyed not as long as you might thought. I would agree with that as well. Okay. So the planet of the covering cherub, as we call it, is still evident within the debris, asteroids, and comets, where are strewn throughout our solar system. Significantly, these chunks of the rebels' angels' planet, cosmic stones, have been used to mete out God's judgment throughout history. God's judgment on the rebels continued as the incomprehensibly violent and genetically unlikely dinosaurs, the very image of the dragon, i.e., the old serpent, were destroyed with another chunk of the rebel cherub's planet. When did this entire judgment take place? So some estimate it could be 500 to 700 million years ago. I believe it was much sooner than that, because in future episodes, we're going to be talking about timelines of humanity, timelines of Earth as well. Okay. There's strong evidence that shows that we have had 1,000 years added to our current timeline by, how shall we say, the powers to be, who like to control humanity and the information that humanity has, and the historical timelines. All right. So given that because the Bible tells us that the earth is 6,000 years old, if we go strictly according to the biblical timelines of humanity. But I'm here to tell you that our timelines are definitely off. And there's strong evidence that supports not just theories, but actually archaeological evidence and facts. Okay. Let's see here. So this is an interesting fact. It also might be of note that when we do not see any mention of the creation of hell or Sheol in the book of Genesis or the entire Bible, because it was actually created during the pre-Adamic timeline when Lucifer fell. Have you guys ever wondered about that? When your Superfood says they jump our timeline, yet they steal our technology. That's right. That's exactly right. Isn't it interesting that we hear the term hell, perdition, and these other terminologies that talk about the dark realm, all right? But the scriptures give us very comprehensive information about God's creation, but not the creation of Sheol or hell, if you will. All right? So it's really fascinating. So with Lucifer's rebellion, death and corruption began to pervade the cosmos under Lucifer's rule. Because Lucifer was the ruler of the whole creation under heaven when he was cut down, all things were subjected to corruption and death. The ancient cosmos had the judgment of death upon it. Over the geologic ages, the universe and all things in it began to decay. The modern day scientists uses the term evolution to describe what they observe as decay of ancient life forms as discovered in fossil records. Evolution is the term we use to describe the decay of life forms in the pre-Adamite world. All right. So what would make Lucifer and his followers have this motivation to rebel? That's a great question. It would actually we'd have to have some basis in something. And so what would that basis be then? And why would a being at that heavenly realm with all the influence that he had, because Lucifer, as we're told, was the Most High's right-hand person, all right? He presided over the creations as well. He had a lot of power and a lot of influence. So what would be the influence in him, and what would be the motivating factor for him to rebel against the Most High and the ancient days of the divine council? Well, this is what we're going to get into. So we think of mafia mentality. It's a consciousness of one's worth beyond what it really is, and the exaggerated concept of an individual's force as the sole arbitrator of every conflict, of every clash of interest or idea. So Lucifer, he desired to extend his personal rule beyond that which was given to him, which this is what falls into the mafia mentality, because, in the mafia, the way everything is set up, you have the underbosses, the soldiers, and so forth. They're always looking for ways to knock off the guy above them so they can move up in ranks. So they're always doing things to undermine the guys above them to move off the ranks. Well, it's the same concept of what Lucifer thought he could try and pull off in the heavenly realms. All right, let's see. This is what Viking says. The importance of planet Earth is in current position. It wasn't originally here and is much, much older than any of the planets around it. Earth's estimated age times it by a few billion. Thank you for your contribution. Appreciate that very much, Viking. Okay. So again, it's that mafia mentality, and that is the reason why Lucifer did what he did. All right. So it's important to remember that there were others that were watching Lucifer, and we'll call them the congregation or the cosmic assembly, if you will. They had the front row view in watching this whole rebellion going down, right? The other beings in this realm observed this drama being played out with great interest. When the prince of Rahab decided to stand up in the assembly and rebel, everybody, I'm sure, gasped. They've never seen anything like this before. Nobody's ever rebelled before in the heavenly realm, right? So the thought of rebellion had not even ever been discussed. It's not even been rumored among probably Lucifer's closest advisors itself. So no one ever thought to rebel against the Most High Creator, the Ancient of Days, the Divine Council. It just wasn't heard of. Vikings right. Earth's age, a massive high-level Masonic secret revealed there. You're right. It absolutely is. There was an abundance of commerce. Now, this is something that's really interesting. So all of the assemblies that observed Lucifer's bid for a greater piece of the pie, okay, we're taught in Sunday school and in religion that Lucifer rebelled because, he was jealous of God. He wanted everything that God had. And that's partially true, but there was more detail that. There's so much detail that's been left out. We have detail about the Christ Messiah and his mission and why he came here and the works that he performed while he was here during his ministry. And then, what he did for us as he atoned for us. We have great detail about what his purpose was. All right. But we don't have a lot of detail about Lucifer and what he did and why he did things. And I think it's because most people, they don't want to discuss this because it's an uncomfortable topic or subject. A lot of people that I try and talk to about the adversary, trying to understand the adversary, because how are we to take upon the full armor of God, and how are we to do spiritual warfare and go into combat, if you will, spiritual combat, if we can't and will not understand the adversary, the enemy? That is a poor strategic battle plan for anybody. If you don't understand and make a plan of what your enemy is doing and how to countermeasure your enemy's tactics, you are setting yourself up for failure. Second massive Masonic secret just dropped there. Thank you, brother. Okay. So this is interesting. So all the assembly observed Lucifer's bid for a greater piece of the pie. The Ancient of Days said, quote, "So I cast you defiled from the height of the realm, and I will destroy you from among the stones of fire." That's his planet. "Your heart became lifted up because your great position and beauty. You corrupted the wisdom I had given you because of your high and exalted position. I, therefore, cast you from the realm." End quote. So there was an abundance of commerce between the planets, i.e., the stones of fire. And in this abundance of merchandise, it filled Lucifer with violence and wrongdoing. So I said this at the very beginning of this lesson. There was commerce between these planets in the cosmos and in the multiverse taking place. And there's a commodity, which I'm going to introduce you to. Some of you may have heard this. Some of you may have not heard this. All right. But this This is a very valuable commodity, and some of you will get it, and some of you may not, so I'll go into detail. So Stephanie Joe Roundtree says, I've been awake since third grade. God enveloped me and told me in a loud voice, you shall live forever. I turned 71 on 9/12, born in 1950. The numbers fall like this, 936. And those are great numbers, 936. I believe it was Tesla who was telling us that to understand all creations and how all things work and function is to understand the symbolic numbers of 936. So thank you for contributing to that, Stephanie. We appreciate that very much. Betty Marone, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your support. Appreciate it very much. Betty, I can actually email you a copy of this lesson plan if you'd like, so you can actually take this for yourself and you can look at it. My email is support@redneckrenegade.com. That's support@redneckrenegade.com. All right. Okay, so getting back to this merchandise, we can go to Ezekiel 28:16, where it says, by the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. So there we begin. Ezekiel addresses the planet Rahab, stones of fire, which is where Lucifer's from, and he also addresses why Lucifer was kicked out and his planet was destroyed. All right, so Lucifer and those that followed Lucifer had to go someplace. Well, they came here. All right. So what commerce are we talking about that was being traded amongst the planets? Well, here's an interesting word. It's called Luche. Luche. It's all about the Luche, the business that's heavily traded in the cosmos, amongst the planets, amongst the multiverse. It's called Luche. And I'm going to introduce you to a group or a family who feels that they control that here as well as in the heavenly realms. The Abraxas, that's Abraxas, the Abraxas, coordinated an agreement thousands and thousands of years ago between two covens. These covens were the line of Solomon, also known as the 301 families or dragon families, and the demons of Solomon, also known as the Black Sun. The agreement they brokered was the line of Solomon, who would rule for 3,000 years. Then this commenced the game of chaos, thus the black and white checkerboard tile floors that is seen throughout the world. That is a hint. This is what Viking has already talked about. Black and white checkerboards are symbolic of the Masonic Brotherhood, the Brotherhood, if you will, the Brotherhood of the Illuminati, the Brotherhood of the Black Sun. All right. They love their symbolism. So then this commenced to the game of chaos, thus the black and white checkerboard tile floors that is seen throughout the world. It represents this tug of war and has worked brilliantly for the Abraxas in generating and harvesting Luche. Betty says, let's see here. Let me show what Betty's saying. Earth is Lucifer's playing ground. We weren't sent here to get rid of the bad guys, if you will. That's right. Thank you, Betty, for contributing. And Kathy Pearl, that's right, Kathy, great movie, Jupiter Ascending. I highly recommend it. There is a lot of intel and information contained within that movie that talks about the true history of this planet before, during, and what's going on right now, of course. All right, let's see here. And that's true. I'm going to say, I agree. Viking says Freemasons are much, much lower level than they realize. They are. Everybody thinks that the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Jesuits, and all of those secret societies that are contained thereof are at the very top of the pecking order. But we're going to do some future shows, and I'm going to show you folks that they're actually not all the way up there. They're all the way down here, actually. All right. And there's another society called the Black Sun who is fighting and battling the Illuminati, jockeying for position and control over this planet, if you will. All right. So these royals that were known as the Abraxas, the Abraxas is a family. It's hard for me to get into this because there's so much depth here and I have a short, finite time. All right. But the Abraxas family is a royal family, and it's a royal cosmic, intergalactic, multiverse family. They're known as the brains in the multiverse, and commerce was their game. Their business was in Luche. And money, as we know it, is not commerce for them at their level. See, they don't care about money. Money is an earthly way to enslave humanity here on this earth. All right. There are bigger things at stake here, which is what we're talking about, Luche, that is much, much more valuable than any gold, silver, or money that is here on this planet. Luche, listen carefully, friends. Luche is energy contained in the DNA particle from the Creator that comes in both positive and negative forms, is a very coveted commodity, and we humans are natural generators of this Luche. Thus, the Abraxas saw it as a very profitable business opportunity. Do you understand what Luche is? Okay. They organized, collected, and distributed the Luche on the exchange in the multiverse. So think about this. We have the stock exchange, we have the indexes, we have all these different financial institutions here. Viking says, Luche is not a negative energy. Luche is the life force within human blood. Thank you. The bright life force energy that is entitled to feed off of. They turn it negative. That's right. So they can absorb it. That's exactly right. Luche is what is in all of us. It's the DNA molecular light that's positive. It's the positive molecular light. You can call it our souls, if you will. That's probably the best way of terminizing it, is calling it our soul. All right. Our souls are infinite energy, infinite light, because they originated from the Most High Elohim. We are part of him. All right. And Viking's right. Luche is what demons feed off of. God has removed his light force energy from the demonic. That's why they come feasting after us. That's why they come after us, because they can't have this. They were stripped of that. And you can go all the way back in the scriptures in Genesis. You can go back into Enoch, where it very specifically in details talks about what transpired there when God condemned the fallen angels and their offspring, which became the Nephilim, which ended up becoming the demonic realm, the demons. So think about this. All right. Luche is a very prized commodity. And the multiverse, we don't live in a universe, folks. We live in a multiverse. Because that would be so short-sighted if we say, oh, God created a universe. The Most High created a universe. Unit is one. Do you think he is limited to creating one? No. He's created multiple universes. That's why we have a multiverse. But within the multiverse, just like here on planet Earth, we have indexes, stock trading, we have financial systems where commodities are traded for money and other valuable assets. That's also done on the multiverse, friends. There are so many creations that are out there. We humans here on this planet are not the only humans in the multiverse. That's a newsflash. We are not. Let's see here. strike in. What about the face looking up from Mars? It was taking the early 70s, I believe. You're right. Yep, I covered that. That's exactly right. Mars is another example of a planet whose atmosphere was stripped by the Most High God because of the evil things that were being taken place there. And that's what we have left. All right. So think about this, friends. All organized religions are a thought form created by the serpent seed bloodline races, which is based on hierarchical construct and a type of caste system to promote an idea that we cannot connect directly to our creator or God or source, whatever term you want to call the Most High Elohim, without intermediaries. Organized religion teaches us that you and I cannot speak to the Most High directly and receive personal revelation with him. Men created religion as a control mechanism to control our beliefs, to control our understanding, to control our self-worth, to try and control our life force, our Luche, if you will. Because the more knowledge we have from the Most High, the more powerful our Luche becomes. So here's an interesting question. So what if Christ Messiah, Yahusha, was part of a, let's say, a reclamation mission to repair the DNA damage that was done to not just our planet, but to humanity by the serpent seed bloodlines? The mission involved a much bigger group than just Christ Messiah Yahusha. Okay? That's why it's so imperative that we go back and look at some of these supportive writings and scriptures that are not bound within the 66 books that comprise the Holy Bible, because there is so much more knowledge that helps fill these gaps, friends. It also entailed bringing up, so when the Messiah came here to help repair the DNA damage to our planet, to humanity, it also entailed bringing unity consciousness and the correct teachings of the law of one to humanity. We're talking about ascending. Ascending seems to be the buzzword that's happening right now, friends. Well, how do we do that? How do we tap into the Christ consciousness so that we can ascend from the third dimension reality in which we're in to the fourth dimension and higher? Because the creation, this planet that we're on, is going through an ascension process right now. Our spirits, our souls can feel it. Many, many people, brothers and sisters around the world, are helping to bring darkness into light. And that light is the Most High Elohim and the Christ Messiah. Okay? D. Smale says they trade in men's souls. That's right. Luche is our souls. And our souls are being traded on the open commodities like there's nothing. They don't even give a second thought to it. These are truths that we need to start understanding and doing our research on, because the days that are ahead of us that are quickly approaching, and I know you all are feeling this. I'm feeling it. I know you're all feeling it. Something is about ready to break loose. And we have to be spiritually prepared, both good or bad. We have to be spiritually prepared for what's about ready to hit us. You know, the scriptures teach us that we need to put on the armor of God, the full armor of God. How do we obtain the full armor of God? We have bits and pieces, but we have to have the full armor of God to be able to go into spiritual battle and warfare, friends. But he's right. Satan does try to mimic everything God has created. He's the great imposter. So he's very good at taking that which is good and twisting it just enough to convince us that we think we're engaged in a good deed or a good act, when in fact, we'll give you an example. Holidays, Christmas holidays, Easter holidays. They're not holy days, they're called holidays. They're pagan. That is designed by the adversary as a way to con humanity into celebrating something that does not exist, but we end up celebrating, unbeknownst to many people that engage in that, into pagan occult practices. Viking says we have a soul that contains the spirit. The spirit feeds itself within us through the light that provides us. So, you know, we're going to be going down the road and talking more in depth about these truths of forbidden history. And I think you guys are going to be really surprised some of the things that we're going to be sharing with you all. But it's opened my eyes up in the last, I'd say 3 or 4 years when I started doing my own research. And the Most High impressed on me places to look, people to listen to, books to read. And I really started having a much, much better understanding of the heavenly realm, the constructs of the heavenly realm, how the Most High, the divine council, officiates and operates within the heavenly realm, how the adversary, Lucifer, Asatan, whatever name you want to give the adversary, he also has to abide by the principles and the constructs of the heavenly realm. In the courts of heaven, he has to, if you will, as a prosecuting attorney, he has to present his case in the heavenly realms before he can engage in acts and deeds against humanity. But unbeknownst to us, we often give him that permission by listening to certain music, by watching certain movies, by reading certain books, by certain acts that we engage in. Why do you think the Most High gave us a certain set of commandments to live by, to help guide us through our life? Let's see here. D. Smale says, they piece together soul fragments that have been obtained through trauma in order to attempt to fool God into granting them grace or mercy. You're right. See, there are so many truths in this live comments that are happening in this show. And I really appreciate you friends contributing to this. I really, really do appreciate you guys contributing to this. Okay. One of the things I need to do is share with you guys. On our last show that we had almost 2 weeks ago, and I'm sorry, we've just had so much busy things happening between Dave's businesses, personal lives, my business, my personal lives, that I haven't been more consistent in our shows, and we will get back on track and have more consistent shows. I promise you, friends, I promise you, we will be more consistent in these shows, okay? But we have a great business here with Lifewave, and I know it's a shameless plug, but instead of me pandering to you guys for money, for donations and stuff like that to support our channel, to support what we're trying to do here, we have a business called Lifewave. And Lifewave is an amazing business, but it's also even better, has the most advanced technology in regards to stem cell therapeutics that's out in the global marketplace. Another buzzword that we keep talking about is quantum healing, quantum this, quantum that. Well, Lifewave has cornered the market when it comes to quantum technologies in regards to repair and healing. All right. And so I need to share with you guys a quick video here. And I want to say this. Many of you have submitted requests to get free samples of the X39, and I fulfilled many of those requests. I've talked to many of you on the phone. Thank you for replying. Thank you for your interest in the product. Thank you for those that have signed up as customers. And thank you for those of you who have signed up to be business partners with us here. We truly value and cherish you folks. We really, really do. And we appreciate you giving us your confidence that we're going to take care of you and that we're not going to mislead you into something. All right. There are many, many other, shall we say, influencers that are out there that misrepresent their opportunities. And you go to certain websites thinking that you're engaging into a good, benevolent co-op, if you will. And when you get there, it's anything but. It's just another way, a backdoor way to get you involved into their business opportunities. And I don't think that's right, that they misrepresent themselves in trying to get you guys to do that. We're not like that. We're completely open, honest, and transparent about what we're doing here. Okay. So for those of you that would like a sample of the X39, all you have to do is email me at support@redneckrenegade.com. Email me your name, your phone number, and your physical address. I will send you via email or your phone 2 videos to watch. They're short videos. Once I get notification you've done that, I will send you out your sample at no charge to you folks, okay? But many people have taken advantage of this. Many, many people are taking advantage of this the opportunity to get a sample. And many people are having great experiences in trying this product. It is changing lives. I get daily emails, phone calls from friends and new friends where this product has made a great difference in their life. Okay, so bear with me. We're going to play the short video.
Light, an ancient form of energy that goes back to the dawn of time. For us, it all begins with the sun, the source of light and life for our entire solar system. Even Einstein concluded that everything we're made of contains light. All life originates with the sun through photosynthesis. Plants and vegetation collect the light, and all living creatures emit light. Humans actually emit infrared light, which can be seen with night vision devices. We've known for centuries that light has many effects on the body. Lifewave's phototherapy patches use light to stimulate the body's natural healing systems, providing specific health benefits. Here's how the technology works. First, a patch is applied to specific points on the body. Where the patch covers the skin, infrared light emitted from the body is reflected back into the tissue. This stimulates the skin, which in turn stimulates specific regions of the brain. The brain then taps into the body's own natural flow of energy and the ability to heal itself. Let's take a look at why this is important on a cellular level. For example, a number of our patch products help counteract free radicals, oxygen molecules that damage cell proteins and contribute to visible signs of aging. When the body is stimulated through phototherapy to release its own antioxidants, these free radicals are neutralized naturally. Lifewave phototherapy patches promote an environment that enables the body to optimize its restorative powers and provide specific health benefits, all without the use of harmful drugs or chemicals, all helping you to stay healthy and young. To find out more, contact your distributor. Lifewave. Live long. Live well.
Thank you, folks, for your patience. I appreciate that very much. Again, for those that if you know people that are in pain and suffering, please have them contact us. It's life-changing. We're getting ready to launch in the next 30 days a wonderful program that's going to help our brothers and sisters in uniform that have served or are currently active duty, whether it's in military, firefighters, police officers, anybody that's first responders and military. We have a new program we're going to be launching, and it's going to be able to get them this product into their hands so that they can start receiving the needed health assurance, not insurance, health assurance that they need to be able to hopefully help heal themselves emotionally, physically. And we can't wait to share this with you guys when we do this. It's going to be an absolutely amazing, amazing program, because we truly love our brothers and sisters who have served us or currently served us in those capacities. That being said, I ask each of you in your nightly prayers tonight, please, please keep the family members who've lost their loved ones in Afghanistan through this black flag, false flag operation, who've been murdered. Please keep them in your prayers. They are hurting. There are mom and dads, there's husbands, wives, sons and daughters who are not going to be going to bed tonight because they don't have that loved one with them anymore. So please keep them in your prayers. They need us. They need to feel our love and our light. Isn't that interesting? That little commercial I played is talking all about light. There's so much power in light. It's absolutely amazing. Well, friends, we're a little over an hour, and I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me jib-jab. Yes, Stephanie Joe, and those we lost in 2001 and 9/11. It's probably a great idea to keep all of these beautiful spirits that aren't with us and their family and friends in our prayers. I know there's a reclamation coming, and it's coming soon. The evil ones cannot go on doing what they're doing to humanity, doing what they're doing to our children, to our loved ones. It cannot and will not go on unpunished. We are assured of this. We know this. I would like to close with the prayer. And again, keep everybody in your prayers this weekend too that are at these Patriot events this weekend and the following weekend, because there's a lot of intel and chatter out there that there could possibly be some false flag, or shall we say black flag, events and operations that may take place. Pray for protection for these people, that they'll have shields of protections around them, please. Please. All right, I'm going to say a prayer, friends, and then we'll just close out the evening. But thank you, everybody who tuned into our show tonight. I know there's other things you probably want to do on your Friday nights, but thank you anyways. I appreciate your support as always. I promise you again, we'll have more consistent shows and programming, and the shows are going to get better and better. So if you don't mind, I'll say a prayer in closing. Most gracious Heavenly Father, Most High Elohim, you are the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We thank you, Father God, for all the blessings that you continue to give us into our daily lives. We pray humbly, Father, that you will help us to be more humble, help us to be more loving, help us to obtain the Christ consciousness we need so that we could be better stewards of this creation, so that we can be better brothers and sisters to those who are in need, that we may have the spiritual eyes and our will tied to your will, Father, to be able to serve and seek out those who are in pain and suffering. We love you, Father. We love you completely. We pray and ask for blessings of protection and sentinels of angels within the angelic realm to watch over our brothers and sisters who are attending these patriotic events throughout our country, that they'll have shields of protection around them, that they'll be protected from the adversary, and all principalities and dominions of the darkness, that they may have no claim upon these people, that they may be able to return home in a safe manner to their loved ones. Father, our hearts are aching for our brothers and sisters who have lost their children and their husbands and wives, their fathers and mothers, and then in the orchestrated attack that took place that we know was orchestrated in Afghanistan. Please bless them. Please help comfort them. Please send them the love that they are in need of, that they may be consoled, and that they may know that they're not alone, Father. This humble prayer, Father, that we leave at the feet of your altar, Father. And we do this in the mighty name, whose name is above all names, the King of kings, the Lord of lords. In his name, Christ Messiah, Yahusha. This mighty prayer we leave in his name. Amen. Sorry, friends. Before I go, I just wanted to address something real quick for you guys, and bear with me just a moment. It'll only take a couple minutes. There was a show that was done a week and a half ago called The Jesus Strand. All right. And I didn't want to, I thought about maybe I should address this or not. All right. But there's new enlightenment knowledge coming out about the Jesus Strand, gematria, and other truths that are coming out now. And there are other influencers online that are trying to dissuade those of us from searching and seeking out these new truths that are coming out. I pray that you have an open mind and open heart, that you'll seek these truths out for yourself. Just like anything that I share with you, friends, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. And I'm happy to send you these lesson plans that I prepare for these shows. I'll send them to you so you can search them yourself. But there are influencers out there that contradict themselves. And I don't want to name names because I don't want to start a pissing match. I'm sorry, with some of these people, but they're out there. Just do your due diligence, please. The truth is out there. And a lot of you who contribute to this show are providing truths and nuggets of truths as well. So with that being said, we'll see you guys back here Monday night, 8 p.m. Central. That's our new time, 8 p.m. Central. That's 9 p.m. Eastern. That's 7 o'clock Mountain Time and 6 o'clock Pacific Time. We love you and thank you again. Keep your powder dry. Good night, y'all.